Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's council meeting, and would you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order and open the roll call.
Goodell.
Here.
Slater.
Here.
Scholl.
Here.
Rusher.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
We need a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
I'll make a motion, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now we need a motion to approve the minutes of the January 12th, 2015 regular council meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? On number communications, anything from the public in attendance this evening? If not, do we get a people service report?
He is covering a shift because Marty was
Okay.
out, so unfortunately he couldn't make it tonight.
Okay.
You got the people service report there. I guess one thing I'd mention, obviously we're getting into main break season. I think everybody saw Fifth Street. It was
Is that a
one
2-inch,
return.
4-inch, or was that?
2 inch. And so, kind of what was coming up pretty good. And then, we've had, I believe, 2 or 3 other ones outside of that also, so just trying to stay on top of them and find them as we see them, but I'm sure we're just getting started here.
Hopefully the rain and some of the other, will maybe help a little bit. We get frost out of the ground or warm weather at least. Any questions or anything from, on our new business? We're gonna have the fiscal year 2013 and 2014 audit review. We have Tim McCartan with T.P. Anderson here this evening.
Steve.
Steve Hutchison.
My name's Steve Hutchison, and I'm with TP Anderson Company. If you want to go to your independent auditor's reports and turn to page 3, management responsibility for the financial statements. Management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements. The auditor's responsibility is to confirm that the financial statements are stated in a proper and fair way. At this time, we have offered an unmodified opinion on the cash basis of accounting. If you would turn now to page 14. Total disbursements for the year were $13,206,000. Total revenues were about $12,500,000. We had a reduction in cash basis of $634,000, which brought us to a net cash position of $4,812,000. The main reason for the reduction is just the number of capital projects that we have going on at the end of the year. And the main ones are the Sumner Avenue project and Eagle Ridge. Once again, this year did require us to perform a single audit, which if you turn to page 32, it'll show the total number of federal funds that were expended, which were $563,000. The major fund was the revolving loan fund for the drinking water replacement. We did not find any compliance issues other than the gross salaries were not published for the year, but that was subsequently resolved, so that's not an issue. The other item which we found, which will be corrected, is that some general obligation bonds were paid out of the water fund that should have been paid out of debt service. And that in the future, they'll just transfer the money from water to debt service and pay it. So it's not a problem. The last item that I wanted to mention was we have a number of funds that are in a deficit fund balance. If you go to page 41, there's a listing of those. Some of those, there's really nothing you can do about, because there's always going to be either gonna be zero or a negative. So, and then some of the others, we realize that they may be waiting for funding or whatever, but it would probably be best to transfer some monies over to cover those balances. And, other than that, if you have any questions for me,
You know, and maybe they're just for Aaron, maybe you could just explain what some of the, what Steve just said about the deficit balances on some of these, what, how we're getting or whatever.
Well, the drainage district, obviously, we expend those dollars and then we receive monies back on that. And that's kind of the same thing for most of these, with the exception of the 2 TIF projects. Those are overruns on the TIF projects. Those overruns you certified in the last year to be allowable for collecting tax increment financing to pay off those balances, those overruns. And that was all cleared with Pat Martin, our attorney, that covers all of our urban renewal projects.
Is the summer revenue fund, is that still what's left to pay off on Main Street?
That's
or is
just,
that-
we spend the money, then we wait for the reimbursement to come from the DOT, and it's just
Oh, I
that
see.
we
Okay,
hadn't
that's-
gotten. And that's
that's
the
not-
same with the drainage district, that's at a positive balance now, that
Okay,
assessment
okay.
came through,
Mhm.
and we got our money for that. And then the economic development, that's the HCDA office and the chamber office, they spend their money during the month, and then I tell them how much they spent, and they give us a check, so that's always at a negative, and they reimburse us each month for that negative balance.
For the pass-through, okay,
Mhm.
okay. Okay.
And then the other thing I'd mention is the water. It's not that it was necessarily being paid out of the wrong fund, it's just it was being sitting in the wrong fund. So the revenues that we used to cover that bond, which was the bond for the roof project on the water plant, just where it was sitting in the project, it was in the inappropriate account, evidently.
yeah, it's basically just where you dispersed it to pay the debt service on it. It can come, it should have come out of debt service, it came out of the water, so it's not a real problem at all. It's just,
And our audit is better this year than last year, were you saying, for
Yeah,
overall anyway?
the general fund did improve, just slightly. I mean, it's, a battle of inches there, trying to get the general fund into a good shape, but, it did have, some slight improvement. And then for the audit purposes, you guys actually count, the fire department set aside in the general fund, don't you?
yes.
So that, as we increase the set aside for the fire department, actually helps us out, because that's a little bit of an extra positive that's counted against the general fund, so. But it did improve a little bit, which is always good when we go into the ratings reviews with Standard & Poor's. They always grill us on everything in here, and general fund is always one of the top thing that they're talking about, so.
Because we're at an A now, are we?
Triple B with a positive outlook. Triple B plus with positive outlook.
Trying to get an A.
Trying to get back to the A.
Sounds like my grade point in college.
Yeah, I just.
Not bad.
Sure.
Try it.
Anything else, Steve?
Nope, just wanted to say, we appreciate the opportunity to do your audit once again this year. And had great success with a lot of cooperation from everyone at the city.
Good. Looks very good, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
We need a motion then to approve the renewal of a Class C beer permit and Sunday sales privilege for Al's Corner Oil Company doing business as Sparky's One Stop. In order, Gloria?
Yep, for all three of these,
Okay.
it's in order.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we need a motion to approve the renewal of a Class C beer permit, Class B wine permit, and Sunday sales privilege for Dahlgren Company, Dolgan Corp. LLC, doing business as Dollar General Store, 8761.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. And we need a motion to approve the renewal of a Class C liquor license and Sunday sales privilege for JOD Incorporated, doing business El Valle Grocery, El Valle Grill.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. And we need a motion to approve an ownership change for W&H Cooperative Oil Company, doing business as Humboldt and Pride.
That's just a change in their board of directors to update the current staff.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. That actually ends our regular scheduled meeting. So,
We got
we
the,
got comments and stuff, so.
yeah, we got the closed session after
Yep,
this.
yep.
But, we just wanted to get the comments and stuff out of the way so that everybody can take off, but, did you wanna kinda go through the projects? David's here. It's been a while, so he wanted to visit with everybody. Figured it's a short meeting, so we'll let him come.
Yeah, I get to pick a good one, I guess. So I just wanted to go through the projects that we have so far and kind of where they're at. 8th Avenue South Edition, that was the water main project and the little roadway work we did there. We had a few punch list items still remaining on that, and that's with Bob. Sumner Avenue sidewalk, just punch list items remain on that. Looks good. I know there's gonna be a couple panels that look broke on the sidewalk that they're gonna come back and repair. Everything besides that they have completed. They're just small little items for that, so it's just punch list items, which is good. And then the roadway project, there's quite a bit of work still remaining on that with the sidewalks, and that they'll be having to do the seal coat on the radius that they still have to do, and then they'll have to do seating and stuff like that. So not a ton of work, but it'll take them a while to get the concrete work done is the main thing there. So, and then as an update in regards to the sludge digester cover, we have the plans nearly complete. I just looked at the plan set this morning and provided some red lines on that. I bet we're probably 80–90% complete on the plan set there. And we should be able to get that done probably next month, so that looks good.
Do we have any problems with that this year and stuff freezing up and things or not?
I think it's starting, as Clint talked to you, it's starting to freeze up, but I don't think it's.
It's probably
anything
not
that's
as
causing-
bad this year, just because we haven't, we keep getting those 40-degree days that kind of probably help the situation quite a bit. I'm an ice fisherman, so it's the same thing on the lakes. You can't quite get the good ice on there, so I'm sure that that's probably, if you're not having the issues, it doesn't mean that the issue doesn't exist, it's just the weather right now. So we're still going ahead with that. And what we ended up coming up with was the cheapest option. Actually was a little bit different than what we were looking at. We were looking at putting a dome on there. We actually got some real good cost feedback from some suppliers on precast panels actually to go across, and that they won't actually be a dome over it. It'll actually be a precast panel that goes across, which is usually that's more expensive. And I thought that was going to be, a significant price increase, and it was a significant price decrease, which is great because I think they'll last a long time too. So
I think we were the precast was like 74 and the dome was like 140 or something like
yeah,
that. So, I mean, it was
precast,
a
what we were
huge
looking at,
difference.
and that was
Huge
just a
difference.
construction estimate at this point,
Mhm.
was 78, and there was an aluminum flat cover that was 149, and the dome covers, I think they were like 200, which was significantly more, really surprising that they couldn't do that, but we need pretty decent access hatches, and when you put those access hatches, they kind of have to brace them a little bit differently, and that really threw them off, and it was really surprising to us, but, which is a great thing. I think the precast is a real good product that they can come and set it, with a crane and get out of there, so that's pretty good.
I've had a couple people from up on the hill there in the Hickory Lane area and stuff that complained about the seal coat that was put on their road last year, and
Yeah,
they just wonder if we're gonna look at all that this year and stuff, and
Yeah,
make sure that
and
everything
we-
come out good and stuff.
yep, and we brought that up to Bob. There was a couple spots that there was that washboarding effect, and he hit it again with with the street sweeper, and I don't think he did a good enough. I think realistically there'll probably be some spots that they'll have to, when they're doing the radiuses, they'll probably have to redo a couple areas. I think to get a little bit better product on that. I think what it did do a good job of rejuvenating the top, but at the same time, I still want a nice smooth surface, you know, after, as smooth as you can get with a seal coat, is the one thing I'll preface that with too, so. But, you know, it's still a seal coat product, and crack seal's not the most beautiful thing by any means, but it does rejuvenate that top, which is a good thing, it's protected, so. I'd say that'd be the one thing to think about, when you go forward with those, so. I thought there was one.
And one of the things I did share with David was
Yep.
exploring different options, because I know the council was concerned about the seal coat and the amount of dust that it caused,
Mhm.
and how folks were really unhappy with that whole process. And so, you know, David's gonna look at some different options, so when we go through the budget, I'll try and bring back, yeah.
Yeah, yep, there's the slurry seal, you know, option that you could look at. And then you can look at, there's some other, you know, a real thin overlay options that you can look at. You know, you get a little bit more price increase, but it gives you a different product. It gives you more of that, we just got a brand new roadway feel, not we just maintain this, you know, so that we can go to the next 10 years. And then there's a microsurfacing that they've been doing in, they did it in Calhoun County and Clay County and Sac County. And it's an interesting product that they put down, and it's still a little bit rougher than an overlay. And there's not as many people that do it. And that's kind of the downfall to it. But the prices have been coming back very competitive on that the counties have been doing, and I would definitely say maybe taking a look at that might not be a bad option too. So, and you know, the easiest way to do something is there, you can always put together the options, and you can go through the bidding process and bid them all as alternates, because it's just a square yard area, and then come back and see what you really want to do in regards to the cost comparison, so. Yep. Oh, and then the sanitary sewer. The sanitary sewer extension, that was completed. They have not done the seeding on that, so there'll just be punch list items remaining on that. They haven't requested a pay request yet, but I did say to them, like, well, you've completed the project, you probably want to be paid at some point. And I think they are probably gonna come back to me this week and say, yeah, we would probably like to be paid, so. Nope, they did a good job on that. I know it's not the funnest, and I knew that they knew going into it, it wasn't gonna be the funnest directional drilling there with all the fiber and all the utilities that are in that ditch.